Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the Mouses Makes podcast. My name is Mandy, sometimes known as Mouse, and this is where I show you some things that I've made. Did you like my very professional welcome? I'm trying. And thank you and welcome to our new subscribers. There are a few. I'm saying our again. I think I'm the queen. Thank you for joining us. I hope you stick around, and welcome back to all of you who've been here for a while and still keep coming back for more. You mad fools. So, week 3 of the sock along, I think. Brief overview of how it works. I apologise if you've heard it all before, but I think I have to do it every week just in case. So, sock along rules. We started on the 1st of September and we are finishing on the 31st of October. Every completed pair of socks is an entry, so you can make one pair or a dozen pairs. It's entirely up to you. On the Mouses Makes Ravelry group, there is a thread for chatter, and that's called Sock Along 2021. So that's to share what you're making and just any general chatter. There is also a hashtag on Instagram for that, and that is, and it's a bit of a long one I'm afraid, Mouses Makes Sock Along 2021. And there are two S's in the middle of that, the end of Mouses and the beginning of Sock Along. Finished object wise, on Ravelry there is a finished object thread for the Halloween prize, and that is just Halloween finished objects. On Instagram you use the hashtag MMHalloweenCal2021 purely for finished objects. Don't share any works in progress there because I will get confused, which happens easily. If you're new, you will realise that very soon. If you're entering for the birthday prize, I'll show them both to you in a minute. On Ravelry the thread is birthday finished objects. On Instagram the hashtag is MMBirthdayCal2021. If you don't have access to either of those platforms, you can just email me your finished objects at mousesmakes@gmail.com. But remember to tell me which prize thread you want to be entered for. There is also a Facebook group for the podcast called Mouses Makes Knitting Podcast, but that may not be the best place to put your finished objects. Ravelry, Instagram or email are your best bets for getting your finished objects to me. We also have, excuse me, it's early and I'm missing a cup of coffee already. We also have a Zoom sock along group at 11 o'clock on a Thursday morning. And I'm also adding, for overseas viewers, a 6 p.m. sock along group on a Thursday. So those two times are British summertime. So I'm afraid if you're in a different time zone, you'll have to work out what that is in your part of the world. I think if you're 5 hours behind, obviously that's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're 7 hours behind, it's 11 o'clock on Thursday morning for you. So I'm adding that one in this week because I've had a couple of people from the States wanting to join in, and bless them, they'd have to get up in the middle of the night. So I've added in another group. The best way to contact me about either group is through Instagram direct message, and then I can add you to our Mouses Makes Zoom group chat. Otherwise, just email me and I'll give you the meeting ID and the passcode to get in. The week before last, there was a bit of a disaster Zoom wise, but we sorted it out. Last week ran smooth as silk. So I'm going to bite the bullet and upgrade my Zoom account so that we can have an infinite amount of time. We've been having to stick to 40 minutes so far, and last week that clearly wasn't enough. Everybody had just got chatting and then we all got cut off. So I'm going to upgrade it today. Tomorrow's Zooms will be however long you like. Although I have to warn you, if you're joining the evening Zoom, I have my dinner at 7:30. So the evening Zoom has kind of an hour and a half time limit on it on account of my stomach. Right, prizes. Halloween thread I mentioned. Ooh, sorry about the noise. This is the prize for the Halloween thread. It's a sock-sized bag with a drawstring, purple lining. Comes with a pack of stitch markers. How can I get this to show? I'm not very good at this, am I? There's 5 of those little bat stitch markers. This is one of mine. Your pack is unopened. And also included is a set of mini skeins, troll music from Little Mouse House, 75/25 superwash merino and nylon. I'm sorry if I'm rushing through this, but I do this every week and I feel people might be a bit bored with seeing all this now. The birthday themed prize is a pretty koi carp themed bag. It's not really a theme, it's just I don't know, flowery inside. The stitch markers that come with this are Jammy Dodger, or little slice of birthday cake, piece of Battenberg, and a Jaffa cake. Assume it's a Jaffa cake. Could be a chocolate shortbread or something, but I'm calling it a Jaffa cake. And the yarn with this prize is a sock set, again from Little Mouse House, on her high twist sock base. Scented Candles is the name, and it's a grey to cream faded with 2 mini skeins, pretty green and yellow, and they are apparently 50 grams and 2 10-gram minis. So you could do, I suppose, heel and toe, alternating on socks. I don't know. I'll leave it up to your creative imagination. That's the birthday prize. So remember, if there's a particular preference for prizes, remember to put that in that thread or under that hashtag. There is a third prize, which will be for my particular favourite out of all the socks. And it is, I always want to say, and I'm not sure that overseas viewers will get this reference, I always want to say it's a blankety blank checkbook and pen, but it's not, because that would be silly. It is a specially made Mouses Makes mug and a Troll Music sock set. Not sock set, mini skein set. Sorry, there's a lot of clattering coming from next doors and it really distracted me then. I think she may have just dropped the entire contents of her cutlery drawer from the sound of things. Anyway, those are your prizes. Oh, I've forgotten my cushion. I'm going to get my cushion. Wait there. Cushion. When I first showed you this and the mug and the tote bag, which again you've not seen, I'm going to show you the tote bag now. Hang on. There's the tote bag. it's full of all my sock bags with yarn wound and needles all at the ready, so that when I finish a pair I can just grab the next bag and crack on. When I showed you these, I told you that my friend was making them and that he was just about ready to open the business properly. Well, he's opened it, so I will put a link below to his eBay store, and you can also email him. He's got a few things listed on the eBay store, but if you wanted, for example, a cushion with your own logo on, providing you can get it to him in the right format, he can print up whatever you want. So I will put his email address as well, because that might be easier if there's something personalised you want doing. So I'm going to put that there and hope it doesn't fall down. Okay, I think that's everything sock along prize related dealt with. This is probably going to be quite a quick one this week. I have finished another pair of socks, and that's not the bag that they're in, because they're not in a bag. It was going so well, wasn't it? I know I did, and I'm sure you did. I have high hopes for this episode, but now I'm going to have to pause. Honestly, what am I like? And I've just found a dead spider on the floor that I think is probably down to Poppy. I have finished a pair of socks. They're kind of the Woodland Walk socks by Olivia Villarreal, but I've made them, I call them trainer socks, ankle socks, whatever you want to call them. I did make these before, and I meant to bring them down with me because I was wearing them yesterday, but when I knit them the first time, I knit them toe up, so the pattern looks slightly different, but they are now knit correctly, cuffed down. I've put in the, I think it's is it an eye of partridge heel, but it's got a garter edge to it. I basically just did them exactly as the pattern directs, which is unusual for me. Yeah, well, I didn't though, did I? Because I made them shorter than they should be. The yarn I used is left over. It's from my rocket tee that I made, and it's by Knit and Pearl Yarns, back when she was called Ange Knits, and it's her Rose Gardens colourway, so 75/25, and I had enough, I probably had enough to make, I do normally a sort of a 10cm leg after the cuff. I think I probably had enough, but I was erring on the side of caution, so I just made them short. The reason I'm showing them to you oddly like this is because the pattern is only on the one side of the sock, the other side is plain. So it's cheating a little bit, I feel, doing a pair of ankle socks, but I really wanted this wool, this yarn, as socks to go with the jumper, which is quite sad, I know. But what's left over will go into my scrap blanket. Oh, I'll tell you that in a second. Right, so these were knit on 2.25 needles, and otherwise were done pretty much as the pattern directs, apart from not doing a long leg. I did the cuff. I think she says to do, well, I can't remember how many rows she says to do for the cuff. I did 15, I think, and then went straight into the heel. But I'm very pleased with them, so that is they. Yes, my scrap blanket, I was working my way up the second stripe panel, and I wasn't terribly, sorry, that's next door's dog singing to me now. So many distractions. I wasn't terribly happy with my tension. It's changed from where I started the first panel to where I finished the first panel, to the point where it's that much wider at the beginning than all the other panels. And the other issue I was worrying about really was I've magic knotted it all. And I've seen from a lot of sources that superwash wool doesn't hold a magic knot terribly well. That might not be true. I don't know. It's the first time I've tried it. But I was a bit concerned that at some point in the future, they'd all start coming undone. So to begin with, I swapped doing what I think is a Russian join, where you sort of loop the two yarns around each other and then you sew them back into themselves. And that seems like it would be a lot more secure, but I was concerned. My second panel looked so much narrower than the first panel, and I had this worry that it was all going to unravel. So yesterday I made the decision to take it all down. So I've pulled it all back. I've got two lovely magic knot balls now that as I go back up through it, I'm going to snip out the knot, and I'm sure it's a Russian join, but rejoin the yarns more securely. And I'm more confident of my tension now because I've done, you know, a huge panel and a bit of a next panel. Because I'm quite new to Tunisian crochet. I tried earlier in the year. Tony from TL Yarn Crafts was doing a make along, and I tried making one of her sweaters. I mean, the pattern is ever so simple, but there was something wrong with my tension then because it came out quite wide, and with a V, the V-neck's meant to be sort of down like so, and it was about that long. There's no way I'd have got my head into that jumper, so that got pulled down. So there's obviously a tension issue with my Tunisian crochet somewhere. I still don't know if my tension is correct, but if it's all at least the same, then the blanket will come out, the panels the same width, and there won't be sort of a flare at the bottom, which is what I was going to have. I was being left with. And it wasn't just the width that was wrong, the height of the stitches were wrong. So as I was adding the second panel on, because you add it on as you go, this is my own design, I'm afraid. There's no pattern that I can check my tension against or anything, because I'm just making it up as I go along. As I was joining the second panel on each row, it wasn't lining up quite right. So the first panel, the beginning of the first panel, the stitches were too wide and too tall to what my tension has settled down to be. So I think the easiest and the best thing, I'm not going to be happy with it otherwise, so I've pulled it down and I'm starting again. It's not time sensitive, it's just something to do when I'm, you know, fed up with everything else that I'm making. So I'm quite happy with that decision. I'm not, oh no, I've had to pull it down. I'm fine. I'm fine about that, and I'm actually happier than I would have been if I'd carried on, I think. I've started another sock, ready for next week. There's not a great deal of it. I've just about to where I want to start the heel. So this is what I mean. This is the length of leg I normally do. So from the cuff to where I start the heel, I normally do 10 centimetres for me. The pattern is All Is Calm by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears even. But I added a little crazy sock lady twist by putting in cast on 2 rows of the yellow. I had thought I might do a yellow heel, but I'm not going to, because there's not enough yellow showing up in the yarn as you go. I think it would just make it look a bit clumsy. So I'm going to stick with the same colour yarn. The yellow is from Ducky Darlings. It's from her To Boldly Go Star Trek sock set, mini set. I keep saying sock set when I mean mini set. And the main yarn is this one, which again is from Knit and Purl Yarns, and this is from her Sunflower Gardens set, and it's well, they both are, I think, 75, 25 superwash merino and nylon. So those are the colours. That's hopefully next week's finished pair. It knits up quite quickly, but there's been a lot going on this weekend. We had a visitor Saturday. Somebody came for lunch Saturday. So apparently you can't sit and knit when people are visiting because it's rude. Don't come and visit me if you think it's rude. Though it wasn't the visitor that said it was rude, so fair enough. That was Saturday. Sunday we ended up at Peter and Lauren's. I was going to say we went up to help with the gardening, but actually Dave and Ewan went to help with the gardening and I went to supervise. And then I had to have a nap because sitting in a chair supervising was very tiring. And then we had a Chinese, all of us, and watched a film Sunday evening. So not a lot of knitting got done over the weekend. Monday, I don't remember much of Monday. Must have been just an ordinary boring day. And then yesterday we had some friends visiting for dinner. So no knitting got done yesterday much. So it's kind of held me back a bit. All these people who want to come and see us. Not really. I am grateful that we have friends that care. In fact, yesterday the friends that came were the friends from Cardiff that we went to visit in June, so it was quite nice to see them again so soon because it had been a very long time in between seeing them in June and the last time we'd seen them because of lockdowns and travel restrictions and everything. So Peter's Cardi has had a bit of work done on it. Last time I showed you I'd just done the very first decrease for the raglan sleeves and I started a little bit more. It's not much at all really. I'm finding I'm knitting so much with very thin needles and socks which are very light. I'm finding that when I knit on this, which is Aran, and of course is, you know, there's quite a lot of weight to it, that it's making my wrists and particularly this joint of my thumb hurt. So I've been massaging it and doing some exercises that I got off YouTube and what have you, and it does help. But if I stretch my thumb out, I get a pain here in my wrist, and I am very prone to tendinitis because I have hypermobility in my joints and I produce way too much collagen. So my wrists in particular, I get tendinitis in a lot, and of course that means no knitting. So I do try and be a bit careful because I can't be not knitting. So I'm trying again to get you a decent view. So if I cover myself up completely of the colour, does that change the colour? I don't think it does it? It's still that yellowy. Doesn't seem to matter where I put it, how near the light. What? No. It's not as yellowy and a burgundy as it looks there. That's not a particularly nice colour. This is really very nice. So that's coming on. I might give it a bit of a push today and have the back finished today, which would be good because poor Peter's been waiting for quite some time. So that's his cardigan. If I can get it finished, I will try it against him before I go any further, because I don't want to knit the whole thing and then find it's going to be massive or too long or too short. You know, the sort of problems you get. And I haven't, clothing wise, I was just thinking, I haven't knit anything for him to wear other than socks since he was a baby. And I've just remembered that when he was a baby, I used to sew up the things I knit for him on the sewing machine. I wonder if I'd get away with that with this, because I hate sewing up. Might be worth a try. The only other thing that's seen any love is my latest version of the rocket tee, which I haven't bothered to put on a long cable and on a hanger for you today, because really there's not much to look at other than what you saw last week. There is a little poppy, what's that thing called? Stitch marker, progress keeper. So that's where it was when you saw it last, and I've done 3 stripes. Most of this I did sitting supervising the gardening, so not a huge amount of progress on that either really. I'm hoping that next week I can have some things. Hello Pops. Hello. Yes, hello. Do you want to get on the windowsill? There you are. Good girl. I don't know if you can hear her talking. That's Poppy. I'll just show you. Here she is. Who's that? Yeah, never mind the socks. Socks are not for you. Look here, look. Poppins. She's far too interested in all the things that are on her windowsill. Every time I come to film, I have to clean the windowsill with a wet wipe, because it's kind of a lookout post, I suppose. They come running in from the garden because they've seen another cat or a dog or aliens, whatever. They come running in and they race upstairs onto this windowsill so they can look out into the garden. So it gets covered in bits of grass and muddy paw prints and dead spiders. Is this anything to do with you, miss? I think she's pleading the fifth. Fairly certain it wasn't Rose, because if it was Rose, she'd have eaten it. Poppy loses interest once they're broken and they don't play anymore. My money's on Poppy. Right, I think that's everything today. So it wasn't quite as arduous as last week for you, was it? You may not need the paracetamol today. And I'm going to say I was fairly organised. I did forget the cushion and the socks, but that's an improvement on last week where I'd forgotten pretty much everything. So, I know what I was going to say. If you're not entering the sock along, have a look on the threads or on the hashtags. Just have a nosy at the things people are making. There are some stunning socks coming along. There are 2 pairs in particular. One I think has just finished. Yes, I'm sure she's finished them. That are colour work. It's gorgeous. And way beyond my patience level. I'm not saying they're beyond my capabilities, but they are beyond my tolerance for faffing about. Let's put it that way. You know my opinion on colour work. If you remember that Celosius that I was making earlier, I think I was making it for, was it in July? Yes, it was Christmas in July now. It was red with a white motif. I'm trying to make myself make it again. I've got a blue yarn. I've got this. And I'm thinking that that would look quite nice with the white sparkly that I got to make Christmas in July sweater. So I'm trying to encourage myself to cast it on again using this and with the white sparkly. But at the moment I can go, oh, but I've got, and I need to finish, and so I've got plenty of excuses. The cardigan I started with the yarn that my husband bought me. I did the moss stitch edge and about 4 rows. I hadn't got a cable needle on me, so that stalled, and that has stayed stalled since then, which is, I'm going to want it in a few weeks, probably next week, and I won't have made it, and then I'll be cross with myself again. And last week I showed you a shawl. It's the Odyssey shawl by Hoagie Locatelli, and I do not know what I'm doing wrong. This seems something on the floor. This seems to be a common theme with me at the moment. Oh, I'm going to pull it off because it's coming off anyway. I cannot get the correct number of stitches, and I'm counting it as I go. I'm keeping a count on the numbers that you should have and making sure that I've got them. I'm making sure that I'm doing all the increases correctly, and I still have not got the right number of stitches. So I'm afraid this is going to go as well, because I just don't have the patience. I've pulled it down twice and I'm just not up for doing it again. I do still want to join Ruth Loves to Knit and Little Monkeys and me, their Across the Pond shawl cowl, which finishes at the end of September. So I think what I'm going to do is another one and done shawl by Casapinka, because that knits up really quickly. It comes out looking quite small, and then you do quite a spectacular thing, and suddenly it expands to about 8 times its size, and the next thing you know, it's finished. So I think that's probably a better bet if I've got any hope at all of entering into this shawl cowl and having it finished by the end of September, because today is the 15th. I've got 15 days alongside everything else that I want to knit. I need to crack on, don't I? But yeah, this one is done. This is, I said weeks ago, I'm employing a new policy whereby it's like that, I can't remember what, it's a Japanese thing, but if something isn't giving you joy, you throw it out. You hold all your possessions, and if it doesn't bring you joy, it's going to go. And I'm employing that method with my knitting now. If I'm not enjoying it, if I can't get it right, and that's making me angry with it, I'm just not doing it. Because I've got plenty of other things to knit, plenty of other yarn to knit things with. There's no point persevering with something I'm not enjoying. So, sorry, Hoagie Locatelli, but this shawl is no more. I will do something else with the yarn. I've got a feeling I found something else on Ravelry last night. Oh, here comes Rose. That I could do with the yarn. I bet she's coming here. Hang on. You might get a look at Rose in a second. Hang on. Yeah, here she is. Look now. You can't come in this window. You need to come in your door. She's 10 years old, for goodness sake. We're on the first floor. She wants me to open the window so she can jump up onto it. Oh. She's seen Ty next door, so she's beating a hasty retreat now. Or is it? Oh, no, wait. It might be a bird. I think it's a bird. I can hear a bird telling her off. And she's looking up and over there at next door's roof. I don't know why I call this Mouse's Makes, because there are no mice in it and it's full of cats. Anyway, I'm going to go away now and let you enjoy the rest of your day without being bothered by me or my kitties. And oh, here comes Lily as well now. I'm going to go and find the cup of coffee that I need. Maybe you'd need to do the same. I will see those of you that Zoom tomorrow and the rest of you next week. Oh gosh, they're on guard duty now. I don't know if I can get this round for you to see. Oh, I know what I could do. Hang on. Sorry, that's a bit of a close-up of me. Let me just... See, I've turned the camera around. That's clever, isn't it? So you've got Rose closest to the house, and if you follow that up and up the steps, there's Lily. They're on guard. I don't know why. Right, enough cat nonsense and Mandy nonsense now. Bye guys, enjoy your knitting, and I will see you either tomorrow or next week.